worried about being smacked or hit, even if it to be the case to be true, they're not going to admit it with the person who's present. They don't have to be in the room. So he's come in the room. So he's around, you got around her, you're asking that question.
Excuse me.
So hang on, she's asking your daughter if the man's hit her, but the man's right there.
Somebody's beating your child.
Of course I will, of course I think. I heard her say it.
Exactly. So why is it that you're not willing to address the situation with me?
Okay, go and address it now then.
Mr Ibile, thank you for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me.
Right, what I want to do for my audience is to get them, I guess, involved in your story.
Okay.
And what I want to do is I want to let you tell your story and tell people about what is called parental alienation.
Definitely.
It's something that for me is not spoken about enough. It's something for me that a lot of fathers go through. More so than mothers, because mothers generally have the children and generally are the ones alienating the father from the child.
If they're that type of mother.
If they're that type of mother.
Yes.
Doesn't always happen, but it happens.
Exactly.
You and I were both on the Baby Fathers podcast.
That's correct.
I told my story, you told yours. But what I want to do is I want to pick up where that left off.
Oh, where I am now.
Yeah, where you are now, where it left off. So what I want to do, or what you've done for me, is you've given me some audio, you've given me some visuals, and I'm just going to take the people through it and let them see what your story's like. But before that, tell people generally how you feel you are being alienated by the mother of your child.
Well, the alienation, basically coercive control. It's just not sticking with the court order, because obviously initially I went to court, which is a problem in itself, because to actually go to court to actually see your own child is just, it's diabolical. So, you know, situations happen, and this is the situation I'm in. I've had to go to the court to actually get to see access to see my daughter, because so much lies and everything was made up. Now, once the judge saw that as wrong and it was all incorrect, I'll go and get access to see my daughter. So where I am now is that there is still parts where she still will alienate and say, breach the order, I should say. So with the orders being breached, I then have to take her back to court, which is a lot of waste of time, financial time, but at the day it's a mission that I will continue to do, because I wanted to see my daughter and have a peaceful relationship with her. So
when you say the court, are you talking about a family court?
The family court, correct.
Would you say in general the family court system in the UK helps fathers, is helpful towards fathers? Is it not helpful towards fathers? What's the family court situation?
I mean, my situation, I could say that it is helpful towards, because in my situation I've seen, I see my daughter, and the problem I feel, or let me not even get into the problem. You asked the question of, do I feel it helps? It does help. And I think that's why even part of the campaign that I'm actually wanting to do is to advise men more to try to go to court, because it's actually the better option. It might be a slow process, but it's the better option for your child.
However, you did say that it's a time-consuming and money-consuming process.
It is indeed, yes.
So what about people who don't have the money to be constantly going
Well, there
to
are
court?
avenues. There are avenues, because you can seek. I don't need to say to seek legal aid, because I know normally that's with the women, but actually there's solicitors and there's actually organisations like Fighting Fathers that can help fathers to actually go through those channels to try and get support in trying to help seeing your child.
So how long have you been going through the court process then?
It's been 2019, December 2019. So just say 2 years, but it's not in and out of court. So so several times we went court.
So why couldn't what was going on with you, your daughter, and the mother of your daughter,
because the mother was difficult to deal with. It was her way or the highway. So that's what the problem was. I didn't even want to go to court. It was first before court. I tried cancelling, as I think I've said on the Baby Father podcast, I tried cancelling first. I went tried to speak to elders, the family, just help, but that wasn't helping. Went to the solicitors, which weren't helping, and then the last process was to actually go to court.
Right. So what I'm going to do then is, you said the mother was difficult. Difficult
is a lighter way of mentioning it.
The reason why I want to go into it is because a lot of the time we're told that fathers are difficult. We're told that it's the fathers that don't want to see their children. But a lot of the time, I think women are kind of given more of a leeway when it comes to children. You and I both know that that's not always the case. But we're going to play the audio that you sent me to see. Is this how difficult she can be? Yeah,
this is one of the examples of actually something that happened. Yes.
All right. So let's play this and hear it.
I was standing there, and Shannon was saying that how hit her. Well, I heard her say that to you. I've got her now. I asked her when did he hit her, and now she tells me he didn't hit her. So I'm going to put you on loudspeaker, and she can tell you herself why she said that to you.
What it is that, like I said to her, I had to rush and go because I've got plans.
This is important.
I know that.
Why is it that you're rushing off to go? Why is it that you don't want to address this? If somebody's beating your child...
Of course I will. Of course I think. I heard her say it.
Exactly. So why is it that you're not willing to address the situation with me?
Okay, go and address it now then.
I hit you. Why? No. Because Barbara can't...
Hang on, just for clarification. So, your daughter has accused...
Yeah, so my daughter's on the phone to tell me to cut. My daughter told me to come and talk to me. Come. She spoke to me on the phone and said, "Come and talk to her, her mother, new partner." So she told me to come because he's put his hand on me. That's the word she actually used.
Your daughter said the mother's partner's now put his hand on me.
That's what she said. That was her word.
And how old your daughter?
And she was 5 then.
When she said this?
Yes.
Okay, so now you're calling the mother about that?
So no, the mother calls me.
Calls you about that?
Yes, okay. She calls me because that's why she started by saying I overheard the conversation. So she calls me.
Okay, let's continue. Hang on.
I hit you. Why? No. Because Barbara can't see you.
I can't see her, so that's what I'm saying. That she's going to be under pressure. She's 4 years old, and you can ask a child that. I mean, it's very difficult. She's still coughing. I asked her if she's feeling well still. She says she's sniffing. Of course, I naturally fulfill if what she's saying, but she's there. She's under a microscope.
No, she's smiling.
Yeah, but I can't see. I don't know what she's doing. I only know what you're telling me. I can't see it for myself.
Okay. Well, if you're saying that you can't see and that she's 4 years old and that she's still sniffing and she's coughing, then the same way that she's coming to tell you that somebody has put his hands on her and you're taking heed to that.
I didn't take to that. I take heed to it. I didn't say it's true or not true. So what do you mean I'm taking heed to it? See, now you're making things up. I didn't take heed to it. You just made something up there. I said that your girl will speak to you later.
Has hit you? Why did you hit you to your dad? Why did you tell your dad that?
So in the room and you're in the room and you're speaking to her with him in prison. So he's come in the room. So he's around you, around her, you're asking that question.
Excuse me.
So hang on. She's asking your daughter if the man's hit her, but the man's right there.
Well, yes, everyone could hear it and clear to hear, and which I heard as well, because I caught his voice.
Okay, hang on.
I tell you what, please, because the way it is right now, listen, I tell you what, let's just leave it right there, because at the end of the day, I understand children very well. So at the end of the day, right, I don't be questioning her, it is fine. I know how children
I question her by
I'm very aware of what that says, what they say. I'm very aware how children act, I'm very aware how you act, I'm very aware of everyone acts.
Saying exactly what has happened in
I'm not there, so I can't explain anything.
Can you let me explain to you, adult to adult?
It's there. It's there.
Can I explain
to you? You're not answering the question, so just leave it there. I just want to speak about it.
Explain everything that happened.
There.
Was not in the room.
There. So you're asking her this question and the guy is present.
I was not present when I asked her.
But he's present in the house.
He's present right now.
Okay, so he's present in the house and you're asking her that question. If somebody was worried,
he was present in the house when he told you on the phone.
If somebody is worried about being smacked or hit, even if it to be the case to be true, they're not going to admit it with the person is present. They don't have to be in
the house, though. This is what I'm saying to you.
Sorry, say that again?
she had this conversation with you whilst...
Hang on. So your daughter's there. She's asking your daughter, has he hit you? Is this the first time the daughter's come to you and said that?
That was the first time my daughter's come and told me that particular incident, yes.
So at the end of this, did you believe that happened, or what did the mother say? Or?
Oh, it comes to the end. It's actually coming to the end, so I could actually basically explain.
Was still in the house. It was me.
Yes, I said he's in the house. That's what I'm saying. But you know what? Listen, it's fine. I have not made any drama about it.
Let me talk.
I have not made any drama about it.
Space to talk, please, because
listen, please. We'll talk. I can tell you what. Talk to me at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. Talk to me. All right, because everyone's got time to do. 7 o'clock. Talk to me.
Okay, cool.
All right. So did she call you back?
No.
So you didn't discuss it after that?
No. So what basically happened? And the emails, the evidence is there. I basically had to say to her to leave it. Don't say anything to her. She blocked me.
The mother blocked you?
Yeah, so she blocks me. So this call of having the conversation, she blocked me.
So then how does that work now? Well, how did that work now? If she's blocked you, how does it work now with you seeing your daughter?
Exactly. So when she blocked me, what happened now, my mind, I was still concerned of the situation.
Right.
Because for me, that was very guilty. As I said in the podcast, if that was me in position, I would have got the phone and spoke to the father himself and just let him reassure him what happened. But what had happened is what you heard just happened, where he's come in and basically to shout at my daughter and say, open your mouth and tell the truth, you see. So we're at the time, because I had concerns already because she has a son and she's also told me to come and beat her son. And she had an ex where she used to say he was like me, stalker, abusive, and all of this stuff.
So hang on, sorry. She said she's asked you to come to her house and beat her son. Yeah,
when I was, when
you were together.
Yeah, she went and asked me to come and beat her son because.
But you're not the son's father.
Exactly. Well, you shouldn't beat children anyway. But yes, she did. And these concerns I put up with social services. It's all on record.
Right.
And the problem also for me was even the ex had shown me, which were part of one of the reasons he broke up with her, was because he accused him of beating her son.
So she's told you that the ex beat her son?
No, she didn't tell me. The ex had evidence of her doing that, basically making out that he'd beat her son.
Right. So for instance, if you were to beat her son, she could have said, "Oh, this guy beat my son."
Right. Just like she asked you. Basically, just like when you heard said that I'm taking heed to it, and I wasn't taking heed to it. You saw the fact that she's called me up, and then that actually keeping me on the phone by saying, "What? Don't you care about your child being beaten?" The question is, don't you care? Because if you really cared, as I thought as a mother, you would then speak to your daughter secretly, not with the person also. Basically, they were ganging up on her.
Right, yeah.
Which I could hear and I sense it because I know my daughter. And like I said, I thought when I then emailed and then, when I then WhatsApped, because it was a WhatsApp message, which I still have, she then blocked the whole conversation. So what I then done, because I couldn't be at peace, I then contacted the police just to go and check to see if my daughter was all right that day.
Was she all right?
I was going to ask you, did you witness that conversation? But then I heard your voice in the background.
I was there.
So then my question was going to be, why did you not handle that conversation for you?
Why should I take the phone from? He just said in the podcast that he wants to deal with the mother and him, and I shouldn't be included. I should be quiet.
No.
So why?
That's today. That's what we.
That was my energy as well. I'm not jumping into nothing, my brother. That's between her, my wife, the child,
so why did
and
you
him.
say something to the girl then? If you're not jumping into anything, why
Say
did
again?
you say anything then?
Say that again, brother.
If you're not jumping into anything, why did you say anything?
What in the
Your
conversation?
voice is present in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who was you speaking to?
To the girl, to the young lady.
So if you're not going to speak to the dad, why are you speaking to the daughter? That's what I'm asking you.
But why can't I talk to the daughter?
Well, you said you're not jumping in.
She's talking to her dad.
And they're talking to the dad.
Now this is interesting because when they went there, they went to the house and then said she was sleeping. But what happened, the mum then called me. So I thought, why is she calling me? you know. And then she said, and then I heard her say to the police, oh, he always does this, you know. So I said to the police, I don't wish to talk to you with her in presence. I'd like you to speak to me after you tell me if my daughter's okay. I didn't hear back from the police.
So, in your household, the police have been involved and social services have been involved?
Absolutely, yeah.
And you're going to court?
No, I'd gone court.
So I'm just saying, like, for a father, it's just the ideal situation. Like, it's not the ideal situation that you want your children or child to be in.
Of course not. But unfortunately, that's why I'm saying that the court has now assured now that I have access to see my daughter.
But could she break that court order?
Oh, she can, but there'd be consequences.
Right, on her side?
Yes.
All right.
Which has happened already. That's what I'm saying. You go to court, that's what happens.
All right, I'm gonna go into now the clip that I actually saw and made you think.
Right.
And I just want to discuss a little bit about that.
Because I didn't want to be in a relationship, my daughter further started to be used as a pawn.
Okay.
Right. And this is why I said I wanted to talk about a situation where I'm talking about parental alienation and how it affects us. So what happened now was, I noticed if I'd come to the house, there'd be all little silly games played. If I didn't stay, or if I wasn't staying, I wasn't allowed to see my daughter. Or if I am picking up my daughter, she's naked in the room, trying to be flirtatious.
The mother, yeah?
The mother, and I'll shut the door. So I'm saying, like, I'll be coming at 3 o'clock, right? 3 o'clock comes, I'm there, oh, I'm not ready and all that stuff. And she's got nothing on, and I'll shut the room door.
Hang on. So are you saying that, because a lot of the time we hear that when it comes to mothers, they say the reason why they have a problem with the father and access to the child is because the father still wants to be with the mother.
Okay.
In this case, you are saying that when you would go to the house, she would like be flirtatious.
I mean,
or...
everyone in Rose Close was always aware of that. And yes, the flirtatiousness, that's why I said I shut the door. Or even at that particular time I'm even talking about, because I remember it happened in June, there was an event. And I remember her asking me for money and being all, wanted me to ask. And I said, I don't know why you're asking for money. Why don't you ask your friend, the guy she's seeing? So I found it quite peculiar. You're asking me for money, yet with all the story that you have about me. Do you understand what I mean? So I'm just trying to keep it, you know.
So do you think there was an element there of one of the reasons why she was making things so difficult with your daughter, that she actually still wanted to be with you, or?
Well, absolutely yes, because I remember all of the problems that used to happen and the things that she would do. Like, hence why I said about the cancelling. Because when I talk about the games, I'm talking about saying I'm not going to give, if I got to give her more money, I'm not seeing my daughter.
Right.
When I turn up, she's not letting me see my daughter.
Right.
You know, just being disrespectful towards my family, parents, and all of this stuff. You know, and saying it with my daughter around. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it just got very, very, very toxic. Or pulling that knife in presence of my daughter. And but if you leave, I'm going to kill you, know, and all of that stuff. Which again, social services are aware, because when I was there, all this behaviour, I was so concerned, and I had to go and put videos, recordings in the house so that everyone could witness that I'm not doing anything here.
Hang on a minute, you've put
recordings in the house.
Video secret cameras
in the house. Why should we carry on doing this?
So you've got secret footage of her.
Well, this is what I done. I already sent it to social services, all aware. So I put this there because to protect myself. Because not only was she verbally, physically, she was doing it towards her son, towards me. Like I said, a knife incident, just acting crazy. You know, telling I will f men with my daughter in a room, in the house, in the bed. That's what she actually says. I'll f men with their daughter in the bed. So again, the social service were aware of this, because all of this stuff I did, I've got to do this to protect myself, because she always kept saying, no one's ever going to believe me. That was all her thing. And no one's going to believe me. No one's going to believe you.
So she said that to you repeatedly?
She used to say it to me all the time. And then apologise and then say this is why I'm like, you know, basically using reasons with her childhood, why of her behaviour. Hence why I said about the whole cancelling thing.
So you said, oh, that's interesting. You said things that happened in her childhood. I mean, do you think that she needs her own set of I don't know, therapy or counselling or...
Well, I tried that, but I think to myself, if I be really honest, I think I might understand there's a mental health topic going on. But I also basically believe that there's people that are evil. I fully
That's a huge statement.
That's a very huge statement.
That's a huge statement.
I believe so. People play on it as well. I think we can become wise enough to know that not everybody has good heart. So at the end of the day, the things, like I've said, from the fact one of the points is when she actually called me up and to make out that my daughter said that I had molested her. And I recorded that, and I actually sent to her mother, my mother, and they were so concerned about her behaviour. And this is why I'm saying, so that's why when even that thing that triggered me with the situation with the whole him hitting my daughter,
right.
It's like I thought to myself, this is a woman that would act like she was concerned if I would. So I realised it wasn't a concern, it was just something, a trigger, something for you to react.
Right.
Because again, speaking with the ex, I've realised she'd put him in situations like that.
So you know that the man she was with before?
Yeah, like, well, I didn't know him, but like I said, I got to know. We had to meet up and talk about this because she created conflict between us. Hence why, I don't know if we'll talk about it later, with this new partner, which she was letting me know that there's some new person, I thought it would be better to just meet him man to man because I could see she wanted to try and create conflict between us.
So she's now got a new partner?
Yes.
All right, and she's trying to create conflict between you, or not? Is it?
Well, I mean, that there was one evidence right there that we just discussed. I mean, and basically say things of stalker abuse. They're basically the same narrative of what she told me about the guy that she was with before. You know, it all goes into my the Baby Father podcast. But as I say, because I wanted to focus on the parental alienation and the situation my daughter, I understand more so when I hear a lot now. I listen to more women now when they tell me, and men, when fathers have abused children, sorry, not just fathers, but you know, boyfriends and all that, children abusing children. But and the fact of the mentals is that mothers do it too, but they get away with it.
I mean, I believe so, I believe so. I think women get believed more so than men get believed, and I think a lot of the time when it comes to men and their like situations or what they're going through, they're kind of looked at with, they're not taken as seriously. You
know what it is? It's not they're taken to be seriously. It's that it's always justified. So women can talk about a man even shouting and calling it abuse, but they could abuse their child with the same language and it's okay. It's past. You see. You know, the same, oh, I'm emotionally abused, or could they even say to you, sometimes it's not the physical, it's the verbal abuse.
And
but her
psychological
mouth,
abuse.
Psychological that I used to see, that's a concern, that to speak to her about her own son.
But then that's not to negate that there aren't a lot of women being psychologically and verbally abused.
Oh, no, not one saying that, but what I'm saying is that whenever men are physically or emotionally abusing a woman, that's a, you know, you can get a charge sheet, you can go to prison. I mean, like I said, I've been locked up because of her, because something she said that wasn't true. So we know that these things happen.
When you say locked up, what do you mean? You actually went to prison or you got arrested?
No, I got locked. So one of the times this is actually after, obviously, with the Baby Father podcast. I happened to, I was at home and police knocked my door. You know, so what happened? They've come to arrest me because I've allegedly wrote threatening letters, and almost like a line of, if you're not old, get over someone. So it sort of make like, oh, you look beautiful the other day, but your wicked ways. I can't even remember half, because when I was reading it,
I need to clarify this. So you're saying that the police came to your house, arrested you because she received some
a threatening letter at home. Yes.
Right. Okay.
But this is me.
And she said it was you.
And said it was me. But meanwhile,
was it a handwritten letter?
No, it was typed. And she came with the partner. She came with her new partner. And basically wanted to say that I was lying about a podcast that I did.
Right.
Saying that about him hitting my daughter and the bathing incident. I'm not sure of the bathing incident because I like to have my things factual. But basically, I was lying on the podcast.
On the podcast?
But when I'd had all the evidence, the police also let me go and saw that everything I was saying was correct, told me to keep doing what I'm doing, as in going to court. What I did find interesting, he said to me that the partner looked like he didn't really want to be there. It was more of her instigating him to come to the court. I mean, come to the police station. But as I said, this was not the first time, by the way, and this is why I had to mention.
So, okay, so what actually, like, where did that go? Did they find out
no,
who?
they just let me, because there was no evidence and they knew it wasn't me that done it. And what had happened is that because, as I said, I've gone to court, and this is why I advised men to go to court.
Right.
Because she had also called on a couple occasions too, in fact, that she made out that I had done things. And the police then had concerns, and they handed it into the court to say that she's trying to make allegations against me, which they find concerning, which is not true. So this has now been a few times now that they have on record that she calls and makes lies up and allegations that things I haven't done.
I just find it very interesting that the two of you come together and you've made this child.
Right.
And the child now doesn't become the focus of the two of yours relationship. And that's what I find troubling a lot of the time in, because I've had it with myself, do you know what I mean? But people really do always lose sight of the fact that it's about the child or children. And
I have to interject. I don't feel I have.
Right, okay.
Because I would have done things much differently if it wasn't about my daughter, you see.
What do you mean?
You see, I wouldn't even gone to court, you see. Because obviously there's different things. But as I said, that's why I said, as fathers, there's a lot of things that have happened, violations, that a father will take things into their own hands.
Right.
But then you won't see your child if you do that. That's why I'm advising men to go to the courts. You see what I mean? Because as I said, all of this is evident now of her behaviour, you see. So...
you actually shared a video, as a matter of fact, which is very interesting. Because you said that, for you it is about your child, but you actually shared a video with me before when she was actually speaking and saying that it's not about the children. Do you remember that video?
Yes. Which one was it? The one? Cause
she was speaking on a microphone.
Yes, exactly. This is why I say it concerns me with people out here. That we know, you don't know how people are as parents. And I think it's good to have this conversation as parents, because we can check ourselves as parents, you see. Because I didn't understand how she can say that about F the children. That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, she was saying, fuck the children.
On her own podcast.
On her own podcast,
And that was sent to me, and I just thought, because again, people concerned, the people that know me, know her, because it's a small circle, isn't it? And think, is this your daughter's mum? And I just had to shake my head. So... yeah.
Interesting. You did say on that podcast that I want to get into, you said that there was an incident where your daughter was bathed by the new partner.
Yes.
I'm going to... Basically, what happened, for the people that don't know, you went on the Baby Flowers podcast and you said that there was an incident where your daughter told you that this new partner bathed your daughter. So what happened?
And
go on.
Kissed my daughter. So they and kissed him. And my daughter had a concern. Kissed on the lips. And she had a concern because he keeps telling me that I'm his stepdad. And she kept saying that he wants to be my dad. He wants to be my dad.
Right.
And that is what my daughter come and said to me.
Right.
You see. So wow. There's boundaries, and I understand is that for myself, like I've said on the podcast, there was a child there when I met her, and I always wanted his father and them to have a good relationship. You know, it's no men not to come in there and being insecure and feel that they have to play the father role. I mean, you can play a guardian role, but if the father's there, you're meant to actually have that line there because it creates a good balance in the relationship. But with this situation, there's created so much conflict. It's just very much that. They're basically words, he's saying things to my daughter that is, you know, telling her what, because I mean, some of that health, telling her things she shouldn't do at my household.
So you, after the Baby Fathers podcast, which was initiated by DJ Riddler, you went to try and mediate the situation. What you done is that you got the mother of your child's, and then you got the mother of your child's partner into a room. Yourself?
Well, firstly, they emailed me. I've got all the emails.
Right.
They wanted to meet me They didn't want to go on the podcast.
So after the podcast came out,
they did.
They started emailing.
They wanted to meet us to meet.
Right.
But I felt at this time it's gone too far now because there's been many times that should have happened.
Right.
But now it's just gone public.
Yeah.
Now they want to meet and discuss it.
Right.
Right. Because remember I said the whole bath situation, she took 6 days to come back to me.
We're going to go into that.
Okay.
So I just so that people can know. So you done the podcast, then she started emailing you, and then what you done is that you set up a mediation. You
Yes.
set up with professional mediators, your child's mother, the new partner. I was there as like, an in-between, and you brought up a situation where this man bathed your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna play that.
You're clearly, let's deal with the bath issue. Yeah? So we've got three allegations. Bathing, hitting,
Is
kissing.
you denying that?
Yeah? No, we're gonna do this now, yeah? So we're gonna get into it and we're gonna go through it.
sorry.
Yeah? Bathing, hitting, kissing, yeah? And then we'll get into the parental alienation, because that was disclosed through the information gathering process when I was calling you and gathering certain information, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So, bathing. Did you bath Mr Ibile's daughter?
I didn't bath her.
You didn't bath her.
I didn't bath her.
So I would start with Mr Ibile. What were your concerns regarding the bathing situation
Okay.
with your daughter?
Well, that's where I come from. You don't bathe another man's child. So basically, my daughter told me the situation. It's quite interesting. Was over there talking about them bathe her when the mum's already texted me and basically apologised
Okay.
in her way 6 days later to say that as the situation as to what happened.
What's your understanding of the situation? What was your
Apparently,
intention?
she wet herself when she went out and left him with the children. So my daughter's mum left the house, and my daughter apparently weed herself. So he bathed her.
Right. Okay. And this is what the bathing scenario is about. And so, what are your concerns surrounding that situation?
Okay, number one, she has a son, and he's quite capable of bathing his daughter. Okay,
His sister.
his sister. Sorry.
No problem.
We have conflict, me and
Okay.
So if there was understanding of certain things, how things should be done, it would make sense. But when I asked the question, she took 6 days to respond back.
Right.
But this was the last straw.
What was the question?
Because my daughter told me. So I said to her,
What did your daughter say to you, just for clarity?
oh, she basically said, she was just in the house and then she just came out and bathed me.
Okay.
And I said, bathed you? Why is he bathing you? But this is the last, we're just talking about the bath, so we'll just keep it with the bath. So I said, so before I just said, well done for telling me. Now I emailed the mum and asked her this. And she thought it was not, she thought it was okay to not respond 6 days later.
Your daughter was in the house, and your daughter has an older brother.
She allegedly left him in the house, and I've already told her before about leaving her. You see what I mean about co-parent? I've told her not to leave my daughter around any man.
Right.
You understand? So that first of all. So then apparently she's left her in the house with the guy.
With the new partner?
Yes.
Okay. Is the brother the brother there?
The brother. I don't know if the brother was there, you see. So
Right.
we would know. I only know what they've told me. But I thought if the brother was there, he could have
bathed your
bathed.
daughter.
Yes.
But the new partner's taken it upon himself to bathe
Exactly.
the daughter. How old is your daughter at this point?
5.
So, wow. In this so this was part of the mediation.
Yes.
So in this mediation, he responds though. He actually responds to that allegation, and this is what he says.
She's sitting down watching TV. She's pissed herself. Yeah? It's soaking everywhere. I've put her inside of the bath, right? I've told her, take off your clothes. I'm going back to go and do something. She took off her clothes in the bath. I've turned on the shower head, sprayed her up, and then I gave her a towel. I said, dry yourself and go and put on your clothes. I didn't bath her. That's not a bath, bro. A bath when you get soap, you get a face towel, a scrub, you scrub down the girl's body, and you wash and bathe the person. Do you feel what I'm saying to you? So that, when you say bath, I didn't bath her. She pissed herself, so she got rinsed with the shower head. I even touched it to see if it wasn't cold. Rinsed her with the shower head, gave her a towel, and she dried herself and clothed herself. She's a big girl. What are you talking about?
How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
The daughter says what she says.
No, bro. Remember,
So we all have definitions of a stepfather. I'll be totally
Whatever
honest
she
with
wants to
you.
say,
So one moment, I'll be totally
this is why
honest
we're
with
gonna
you.
be
From
clear.
my perspective, I didn't realise that some people said, "Oh, a stepfather is for a term
Absent
for when
fathers. I didn't know
when
that
a
either.
biological father is
Me either.
absent." I didn't
I didn't-
realise
I
that.
didn't
So
realise
this is why
that.
we say cultural differences. This is why
Yeah.
it's important to have these conversations.
It's very
so
important.
you feel like that title is not acceptable because you
'Cause you're
are
present.
a present and active
And
father.
we're not European, so
and-
again, we don't say stepdads
well, this is-
anyway,
well-
do we?
well,
We say,
Well, this is it.
we don't
Because
say stepdads.
so this is it. So maybe I'm too westernised, but
No.
I do. So I'm learning here. And we all are.
As much as I'm
exploring.
cultural, I've got to hold that Western flag, boy.
Yeah.
No, what I mean
Yeah.
is,
As much
what
as
I
I'm
mean is-
cultural, I've got to hold that Western flag a little bit.
What I mean is by saying that, I said we all understand the influence of where children will say stepdad. The only child would only know to be called a stepdad is if the parents talk about
Yes,
that.
but I would teach my child that
and
also
there's
because
nothing
I
wrong.
didn't know.
And nothing
Yeah.
wrong. If you had an ex-partner
Yeah.
who's in the life, that we're calling that a father. Hence why I said, again, when I was in the house, I never made the son.
You know, I wanted to say to that as well, because I let you hear a recording already, as you're aware, where when I say to you about her playing us against each other, she called me, even though I do not call her, and she knows I don't speak to her, because part of the call is that she has a story that she's scared of me, and you know I'm a stalker and all this stuff. So clearly you shouldn't be calling me, right?
Right.
So she calls me on a private number, crying down my phone, basically wanting me to come and get my daughter, and she doesn't want to leave her with her new partner. So this is why I have to add these things, because she said this.
And for what reason did she not want to leave the daughter?
She was going to hospital or something, but that don't concern me. But my point was that she was crying on the phone, and again, for my own protection, I record these things because it doesn't add to the story. Because obviously, I don't call her. So again, she called me private number, crying, and that she has to. I think she has to go to hospital for whatever some reason, but she doesn't want to leave my daughter with. She's crying on the phone to me. But I'm thinking to myself, all right, I'll come and get my daughter. But do you see where I'm coming from now? So the same concerns, but yet you're leaving my daughter with this guy.
So do you have a legitimate concern about, because a lot of people are going to be thinking, if another man's bathing another man's daughter at the age of 4 and he's kissing her on her lips, people are going to put 2 and 2 together and start
Well, of course,
thinking.
it's naturally, that's what I did, of course.
Right.
And that's why you ask questions, you give someone the benefit of the doubt. Just like the whole beating situation. You say, when my daughter said she put her hands on me, you ask the question. But the reaction, everyone started to act very suspicious, you see. It wasn't dealt with in a nature, in a sensitive nature to say, okay, let me call up or let me speak. Like I said, it took 6 days to even respond about the bathing.
So,
if it was for me, it was to get a reaction from me.
Is that a normal thing? Like, if you raise a concern with her, then she'll take her time to get back to you or something? Is that like a normal thing that she does?
Depends on it. It depends, because it's not that situation happens all the time. So I wouldn't say that happens all the time, but with this particular situation and others, that's been the case.
Right.
You know, I don't want to sort of like pull things out. Just keep everything with context.
Okay. So do you, when it comes to, because parental alienation is
It ties in with coercive control.
Coercive control. What do you mean by coercive control?
Because everything is manipulation. So that's why I used earlier about the games with crying on the phone, telling you stories, or telling you to come, basically to get their ways. And when things don't go their way, then they act, the toxic behavior comes out, the abuse comes out. You see.
Has she ever like physically
like assaulted, for instance,
you or something?
Exactly. When I said about the knife, one time I had my daughter and she's fighting with me and stuff like that. And then I'm saying like, you know, stop. I mean, neighbours have come out, you see, because I don't wish to speak to her. I said, could you email me? Because I don't want to speak. This is even before the partner, which I even explained to the partner. So, you know, if I'm going to see my daughter, I'd say, please, let's just email us, because I don't want any conversation and then something triggers.
It turns into
so when
right.
she's asking me a question, like say like when I'm bringing her back, I said I email you, because it's not getting her way, it starts reacting, comes out and fighting me, neighbours seeing all that behaviour. Then the next 3 days I get a call, oh, can I have the number for the cake lady? Like nothing happened.
Like nothing happened.
Like nothing happened. And that's what I'm saying, all of these things I have as evidence, I have to put to social services, because as men, you have to keep these recorded. I know it might be a process, but it's very important as men, because it then will show the character of someone you're dealing with, because they always forget themselves. So like when I said I was arrested, and the police let me go for all this threatening behaviour, again, like 3 days later, my daughter had a dental appointment. So I, like I've told the courts, I always tell the courts what is happening, so then I let the mum know the outcome of the dentist. But when I was going dentist, the mum emailed, can I come? So
with you?
Yeah. So
you're the crazy one.
I'm the crazy one, but you want to come. So I had to remind her, no, I think it's safe if I go by myself, because below X, Y, and Z, as I've explained.
But the inconsistency in the behaviour is concerning for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the inconsistency. Has she ever been, because you said you got arrested, has she ever been arrested?
She got arrested one time because, again, when I went to court, I've been advising my solicitors that I should notify the police and all of this stuff, because one of the times my daughter was unwell, and I contacted her to tell her that my daughter was unwell. But what I did, I emailed, because again, I don't call. And then what had happened was that she was ringing my phone because she didn't get hold of me, and then she started sending me abusive messages.
Right.
So then I called and said, listen, and I told them I'm going to record, because I handed it to the police. I'm saying, this is going to record it with purposes. I've tried to contact you before I took my daughter to school to say that she's not going to school. So I was letting you know what I should do. But then she was being all like, saying things like, if you don't bring back the child, you know, if you don't bring back the child, I'll call the police. I'll come to your shop and do a madness. So when I then handed this to the police, this is threatening behaviour, then they called her in for questioning. She didn't go to the police station. And what I did, I specifically asked the police, if you're going to arrest her, please don't arrest her with my daughter there. So I told them the days that my daughter wouldn't be there.
Right, okay.
You see?
Okay.
So this is why I'm answering, because she was arrested. But sadly, not that you want them to arrest her, but now the police can now see, again, a woman that's saying that she's threatened by you, but yet she was talking about she's going to come to my business place and do a madness.
So now, when in regards to your daughter's mother, the partner, and yourself, do you guys just, the only way in which you guys contact one another is by email?
Well, I only contact the mum by email. The judge set up a situation which is good, that she has allowed me to speak with my daughter, which is Skype. So I'll just speak to my daughter via Skype. But that also can be very problematic. But again, about the parental alienation, when the judge has now implemented an order, and then they're not abiding by the order to make it so you want to speak to your own child, it's only twice
a week.
Right. Then there'll be stories made up, oh, she's sleeping, this, what, she doesn't want to talk to you.
But then clearly you'll have to call by a certain time, so
yeah,
you're calling before
but that's
bedtime.
but this is why we had to go to court again, and the judge then asked a specific time which is good for you, and then she just told the judge what specific time that was good for her, and then even that is not consistent. It got so concerning, even like the members of the mediation actually contacted, because he had also seen the podcast and had concerns because he knew of the guy.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and
Okay.
he basically said like, what's going on there? And the guy basically was saying that, yeah, he's always calling, calling off the phone to speak to his child. So even the guy in himself said, hold on, so even if he's calling to speak to his child, why is that a problem for you? He said he went silent. So even the part of what I'm trying to say about the alienation was that he's even lying on top of it. Where I've got obviously evidence of when the days are cool. Do you see? So, and then the guy is also added and saying that I'm calling up on different occasions and making stuff up. Do you see what I'm saying? Part of the alienation.
So, when you say part of the alienation, is the guy now part of, I guess, assisting the mother to alienate your daughter from you?
Well, absolutely. For his own narrative, because obviously he knows the truth, but he has to, you know, for his own reasons, have to stick with the lie. Which that's what a concerning thing for me, and that's why I like having these conversations as to why is these behaviours, where does it come from?
So, this is a very deep story, and it's kind of the reason why it hits for me, and the reason why I actually wanted to do this story is because there is similarities within my own. Do you know what I mean? Within my own, within my life. So it's definitely something that needs to be touched on more after, because I done the Baby Fathers podcast. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say that's why even why you're saying we did this before we even did this. There was these things called, because I'm not on it. Clubhouse.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because this is why even all this started, because obviously that's why I said I don't know the psychology behind it, because the partner wanted to go on the podcast and talk about all of this.
On Clubhouse?
On Clubhouse.
Right.
But the same mediator, I have to thank again the 5 Fighting Fathers organisation for actually intervening in this mediation to help, because obviously I'm not in the community and so is the person. So he intervened, and like I said, he was concerned even as a parent himself as the behaviour of this man, because it concerns us all.
Of course. Because these children are raised in this community and they become products of the community. Do you know what I mean? And if there are children that are being raised in this community and they're becoming products of this type of environment, they themselves are going to be a menace to the society or a menace to the community that they actually go into. So when it comes to the partner, the mother, yourself, just for clarification, you guys all communicate via email. A court order's actually been set in place now.
Her, just her.
Just for her.
Just the mother is the email, just not him. Just
So how many times a week do you get to see your daughter?
I mean, I get to see my daughter. I get to see my daughter every week. That's all because of the courts.
Cool.
I mean, everything is breaking down differently. I won't need to go into that business of side of things, but this is what I say. At least now there's a structure that I can now see my daughter.
How much, you probably don't want to, you can give a ballpark, but how much money did you have to spend just to
I
get
spent nearly
time?
25 grand I spent. Easy. I don't think, but I'll do it again. But about 25 grand in courts I spent. But that's because I went to real serious solicitors. That's why I said there's different solicitors. We've all got friends, you know, that we're close, that can get other solicitors that you can get it for cheaper.
So you spent £25,000 out of your own pocket.
Yes. Just
to try and have a relationship with your own child.
Absolutely, I know, and that's how crazy. Even just to have the phone calls and stuff like this, you know. So I know this is the harsh reality, but it is what it is.
I mean, in this mediation, because I was actually there in this mediation, and it was just very interesting to watch his demeanour towards you.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we were both there, we all saw it. I don't think essentially with that mediation, he actually went there for mediation.
I'm glad you picked up on that, because I didn't sense that it was all about himself.
Yeah, he was talking a lot about himself, and by the end of the mediation, he wanted to fight you.
Exactly. Well, pretend that he wanted to fight
me. Well, pretend that he wanted to fight you. He got up out of his chair, he brought his three guys in, and it was like, you know, there was a whole hoo-ha. But this is the person, I guess, which is, it's sad. This is the person that your daughter's around.
And this is it.
24/7.
And that's why I said, even the part when he even said, you know, about pissing up the place and all of that language he's using, the way I was fuming, you know.
I saw.
Yeah, so the behaviour, naturally had to say that I hope you don't speak. And this is why we all have to be mindful about the children and who they're around. Because especially in African Caribbean community, a reason I'm part of what the parental alienation why did you discuss, because this is not just something exclusive to another culture. It actually happens in our culture every day. So we need to start talking about a lot, and that's why there's a lot of people that, you know, they say wolves in sheep's clothes. A lot of people do know this, and that's why they talk about narcissism. I know what exactly it means now.
I think there is actually I would say a silent war, for want of a better term, that is not spoken about, which is this war against what I call war against men. Not even so much men, but war against fathers.
Well, misandry, yeah, we have to say that. We have to say that. I mean, definitely. I mean, there's so many organisations now. To this example, I mean, there is reasons as to why, but I think for me, you know, the whole deadbeat, waste man fathers and all them things, that's a narrative.
A constant narrative.
Yes, there needs to be context. There are yes men that don't look after their children, but yes, there is a lot of loving men, African Caribbean men that want to look after their children and do have to struggle. But like I said, for myself, I can only have my story, and I'm always free because a lot of people have come to me and I've actually also helped them with issues that they've had with their child mothers have done, because I'm saying that it's actually a very recurring
it's something that
situation.
Is constantly occurring but not spoken about in general society. It's spoken about, like you said, in barbershops, among men, this kind of stuff. Because I remember when I done the Baby Fathers podcast, the amount of messages that I got from fathers saying, oh my gosh, I'm going through something similar, could you put me in the right direction? The mother of my child's doing X, Y, and Z. And there are so many fathers out there feeling lost. They're feeling lost when it comes to their own children. And my thing is, I feel like the society in which we live in is so heavily skewed towards mothers, and as if mothers are the best parents for children.
And that's why I would say not all mothers are maternal, because that's the problem, is that when everything, I've even said with police, oh, she's a mother, that's why. No, I know it better, and you don't know my story. There are also fathers that are maternal. So that covered there, and that's why I've always told people to advise them to watch Mother Dearest by Jonah Crawford. She was an actress.
Right,
Very powerful movie. But it goes to the psychology of narcissism, mothers that abuse their children, and how it's unseen and it's not mentioned, it's not spoken about. And a lot of these young boys that are coming into my business place are affected because
what is
of
your business place for people that don't know?
A salon, a barber salon.
Right, okay.
Right, so they've come to me, and even from the back of the podcast, they've come to me and sort of said, you know what, it's made me think what my mother said. I actually feel like I need to go and see my...
It's alright, bro.
Seeing what my dad said, to go and see what my father said. So they want to see, they want to see the other side, because it's very easy. Like I said, I was naive to the fact that, oh yeah, mother is always, but you know, it's something that used to have, but you know, you have to give the strength to keep on doing so. And as I said, my daughter allows me to do so.
Because one of the things, for my own personal story, I was raised without my father. But one of the things when it comes to my mother is that she always kept those lines of communication open. And it was my father who actually decided not to keep the lines of communication open. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of the time, I want to, just for myself, I want to like just say, for the mothers that are actually opening the lines of communication to the fathers, thank you very much. Do you know what I mean? Like, thank you very much for opening the lines of communication, even though you guys are not together. But there are fathers out there that don't look after their children. And to those fathers, I say, it's time to step up.
Yes,
do you know what I mean?
True.
But also to the mothers who are actually stopping fathers from seeing their children, I say, you made that child with that man. You see,
that's very good in words, but the reality, that's why the court just like allowed me to, there needs to be consequences for women lying about things. And I think if this happened, women wouldn't tend to do it. It's just like with everything. You know, that's what the problem is. When we all can be good with our words. But the reality is, if there ain't consequences for people that do, because it is child abuse. You see?
What is?
It is when the child is not allowed to see their parent. Or poisoning the child's mind against their parent. Or putting the child, as you saw where they were talking about incident, about him actually the audacity to record my daughter.
Yes, he did. He did. We'll play that actually. he recorded your daughter to try. But what do you think his motivation for recording your daughter was?
Now this is the question. That's why we asked. Like I think it's crazy, but it's not just about me thinking it's crazy. This is a concerning to me and to anybody else who I know at the time had seen this.
All right, let's listen to it. Let's see what he says.
He doesn't really knows. He doesn't really knows how to say anything. He wants to be rude to you and he wants to be unrespectful.
Unrespectful?
Yeah, he wants to be rude to you and he wants to make you sad. So I'm making it.
Do you want me to be your stepdad?
Yes, but my dad, my normal dad, is making me angry and sad. But you are making me happier. My dad makes me sad because he says, that's my sister. My brother said, no, not my sister.
That's not right. She is your sister.
Yeah, my dad doesn't know that. And my dad said, she's not my sister.
Why?
Oh no.
You think it's right for him to say that?
No.
Wow.
What was the purpose of him recording your daughter to say that?
Exactly. And that's what I said.
Or not to say that, sorry, but
that was
saying that.
Well, I thought like they were said, the mediator said, is that was coaching.
Can I respond to that? That's fantastic. That's fantastic what you just done there.
1 second. 1 second.
Okay.
1 second. Because the distinction in the question was stepsister, and what I'm hearing there is sister. So Mr Ibile has a right to make that distinction to his daughter. How it's made is definitely a sensitive. It can differentiate how it's received by the daughter, perceived in it.
If we're asking questions, what was the purpose of that recording?
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. So okay,
Why-
that's
why-
fine. Yeah.
One moment. Why did you
The
make
evidence,
that?
yeah?
Why did you make that recording?
I can't stop his daughter
Yeah.
from coming to chat to me.
Yeah, no, of course. I
And
just said
I
that.
can press record if I want. Do you think it's appropriate to tell your daughter these things? And do you think that your daughter's speaking from her heart in that conversation that she's having with you right there?
No, I will
Do you
tell
think
you,
it-
don't answer that. I
What
will
do
tell
you
you as
think?
a mediator, and what I've heard, that
think
that
about
sounded
that?
like
He's talking to you.
somebody who's being coached.
Absolutely.
Bro.
And my question
I'm
was
gonna
just
actually
my
say
question.
that.
Sorry. My question was just ignored.
Yeah.
I just asked a question. It was blatantly ignored.
What did you say,
For this,
sister?
I said,
What was the purpose of recording
of that recording?
He just said on the record that he doesn't think that it's appropriate to talk illy or of his dislikes against me. So why is your daughter telling me randomly while I'm eating my food that you don't like me, and you're telling me her that as well as not his she says stepsister.
So I'm going to interject as the mediator. Working with children for over
What you
2
do?
decades. One moment. Working with children for over 2 decades. Children, you can coach children very easily, especially by asking them leading
Very
questions.
Like-
Wait.
Please, bro.
I've from that recording, maybe we should have clarified before we came into this process. So maybe that's our bad. I wouldn't have allowed if we're not having. I don't deem that as acceptable or appropriate in this
It was not
process.
appropriate
I
at all.
don't, and it's quite triggering
Very.
actually. And what we're trying to do right now is,
Just please.
Mr. Ibile, what we're trying to do right now is actually be solution focused. I understand as to why you would want to play that. However, it's not appropriate.
And I can feel, just like you know your children, I could feel it. And you saw the indirect, I mean, you see the blatant lying. So as they picked up on, was that I don't know what is going on in that household. So if my daughter is telling me of the young child and breaking down the sister, I was very simply saying that
She's not your sister,
she
she's
should
your
be a stepsister. I don't know the in-depthness of what's actually going on because we don't talk that way. So him to sort of then say, oh, that is right, he was actually referring as a sister. Although the media said he was referring to stepsister. So you see the twist right there. But they see was his concern that he was saying that is this right, and then the disrespect, all of this stuff. This is the energy that my daughter was telling me that they're doing. Like even the mediators have spoken. We've heard that the disrespectful way he talks around my daughter in the household. And that's why I said about the concerning factor of one would be saying this, but actually the hypocrite would be saying that, would be doing that same thing.
Before we actually wrap up, what is it that you want people to know?
That's a very good question. What I want people to know, like I said, I want people to know that there are a lot of African Caribbean fathers that do care. Like I said, they want their children. But what I'm also here for is that to show the avenues we need to take, because it's very difficult. I know I've been looking at how the British laws are coming that parental alienation is being considered as a crime now.
Okay, that's good.
You know, you have to read up on it. As I say, go to these men groups. There's one called Man in Action. You know, go to men groups and discuss with men, because what the problem is as well is that men don't feel that they should speak about this.
Right.
And what happens is that it breaks you down in layers, and you react in the wrong way about something else, and no one will know what is your problem.
Yeah.
You see the impact it made. That's why I mentioned about the young boys that come in my shop, talking about their concerns of how their mothers are towards them. Not all the mothers that do this. So like I said, the awareness needs to be had. Misandry, coercive control, child abuse. These things, as I said, parental alienation, they need to be discussed about. And men need to come together and discuss it. Just like as we appreciate and accept that there are abusive men and all of this, that there are a lot of organisations actually helping women with this situation.
I think a lot of the time, though, which is unfortunate in the times we're living in, when men do actually have their say and get to speak about, you know, what they want to speak about, it's frowned upon. Like,
yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, they shouldn't be saying that. Stop saying that. If you say that, it's a little bit misogynistic, or if you say that about women, it's a little bit patriarchal or toxic masculinity and stuff like that. And I feel like we have to get to the point where when we hear that, we just got to say, you know what, we don't care. We don't care what you say.
You got to look at the meanings.
We need to have our say.
It's because you got to look at the meanings. People use words all the time, they don't know what it means. So basically, that's why people always come comfortable. People don't like the facts. And that's why I say with my situation, I knew it's not about me coming in and talking to you. I know I have to have the evidence of all what they say, of all what I'm saying. Do you see? Because when you did, I've had people tell you should just go and do this and that. Go and deal with them different way. But if you go and do that, you'll call yourself in problems. You see? So when you talk about child focus, this is the better way for it. As I said, to go through the courts.
So then, moving forward, your advice for men should be talk about it.
Talk about it. Lots of men organisations, like I'm one as well. Like you contact a lot of organisations now. And thankfully, we've got social media as well. There's avenues that you can find places to speak about this.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to put your social medias in here for people to actually contact you if they have any concerns. Mr Ibile, man, your story has been one that I think needed to be told because what I found generally, I said when I get my inbox messages, is your story is not your story. It's 1,000 stories. It's 1,000,000 stories. There are 1,000,000 men going through this right now who don't have that this platform, let's say, to actually get it out there and let people understand. And a lot of the time, like you said, men are testosterone-filled individuals, and a lot of times when men feel aggrieved, they deal with things the wrong way. But I just think in these days and times it is because within your situation, when I think about it, when it comes to either the bathing, the kissing on the lips, or even the way he acted within this mediation, the police could have been called at any point in time. Exactly. You could have reacted, aggressively at any point in time. And it takes someone who is very, I guess, controlled, let's say, to not react in certain ways when you hear certain things about your own flesh and blood. So I will commend you for that, even though I know that you probably wanted to, react in that way. So,
thanks for having me. I mean, thanks again. As I said, it needs to be had. And it needs to be exposed as well.
And it needs to be a continuous thing.
It needs to be exposed because, like I said, the only reason this mediation happened is because they felt their reputations exposed. And this is what happens with human beings. They don't want their people to know what they're doing. I'm really a private man. I don't like to do this. But like I said, it's not about me. There's a lot of children that we can see that social services have failed, you know, and the courts have failed, you know. But even though I should say courts have failed, I guess the courts have failed because a lot of the time people give up. So the courts next to say, I'll retract that. It's not that they failed. It's that you have to you have to walk that tightrope. You have to be consistent.
But not everyone's got 25 grand to spare and to
and
spend.
I understand that.
Do you get me?
I understand that.
So I understand also that the system is kind of designed to make you give up sometimes, because sometimes it's designed to get the money out of you.
No.
And you're just a number on a piece of paper, and they just put you in the court, say what they got to say, and then move you forward. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But
that's why it's good to have, as I said, the organisation and meant to create more organisations that we come together and then we can have a support network.
So the organisations that you're a part of...
that I want to be parental alienation. I just want to say in the Fighting Fathers...
Fighting Fathers?
Is that they actually very supportive.
Okay.
And as I said, that is why I have to respect them.
We'll put that information
up,
in this video as well.
You know, so... You know, as I said, in terms of, we have to create organisation. That's why I said it's a lack of it. I didn't go to any organisation. I went straight to that. But I know there's a lot of women organisations. That's why I'm saying this early age of parental. So this it's really in this infantry, isn't it?
Right. Okay.
So I'm trying to say this is what I want to put forward. These campaigns in the African Caribbean community, because like I said, a lot of times it's very hush hush that we're supposed not to deal with it, and to basically, but we suffer from it.
Bro, thank you, man.
That's all right, man. Mr. Iblie, thanks for having me.